Hello, I'm Christine with What's Up Cupcake Whimsical Crafts, and welcome to my channel. I am going to dive into a bunch of activities that I have been doing this past couple of weeks to get ready for my new shop launch. I have transitioned from Etsy onto my website, whatsupcupcakecrafts.com, where I have my crochet plushies, crochet tools, amigurumi sticks, safety eye, stitch markers, all sorts of fun things, and that will continue to grow and expand, as well as I participated in a bunch of pattern tests. I feel like everyone started releasing their new patterns at the beginning of the year, and I was super eager. I didn't have my market schedule quite figured out at that time, and I just signed up for a lot of pattern tests, and I thankfully got into quite a few of them. So we'll go through those items, as well as just other items I was making for fun, finally digging into my pattern stash and starting to make patterns that had been like lingering in the back of my mind of things that I wanted to make from some of my favorite pattern designers and just other things that I might have picked up during, Black Friday sales, stuff like that. So I hope you will stick around to enjoy this cozy and productive recap of the things that I've been doing for the last couple weeks. To start, let's talk about the items that I tested. So these will all be out by the time this video comes up. Part of the challenge I had in making some of these items and wanting to share some of them was the way that they were all spaced out, and some makers didn't want the end product to be revealed until the pattern was released, to where others were, fine with it being shared. So I decided just to share them all at once since they were kind of all around the same timeline of release. First up, we will do the No Sew Birds pattern by Ducky Crochet Co. I was selected to do the pigeon pattern from this bundle, and I made this sweet little pigeon. It's so cute. This pattern was really easy and straightforward. I think the only item that might be challenging for like a beginner crocheter would be attaching the beak, but if you have crocheted items into your plushie before along the way, then you'll know how to do that. But it was a very quick pattern. I love the colors that she had kind of recommended in her photos, so I went with those same colors. And yeah, this is like kind of a chunky little guy. I used Premier Parfait, a 4.5 hook, Premier Parfait Chunky with a 4.5 hook. And yes, that yarn is very sheddy, but I think it came out as the perfect little size for this sweet pigeon. I liked making it so much so that I had to make a fuzzy one. I sucked it up and I worked with Feels Like Bliss because I knew that the end result would be worth it. Look at this guy. He's so fuzzy and sweet. He comes out quite a bit smaller, but I would still charge the same, just because if you've worked with Feels Like Bliss by Lion Brand, you know it is stretchy. It's hard to see what you're doing. You really just have to feel your stitches and make a best guess. That said, it is also very forgiving. So that is the Little Pigeon by Ducky Crochet Co. They also have this pattern actually comes in a bundle. So there's 3 birds that you get with this pattern, and that's the penguin and owl as well. I have quite a few penguin patterns at this point, so I wasn't tempted to make that one, but the owl is like next up on my radar. And I think that the penguin would be great too, especially to have like kind of a little army of birds that are all around the same size. But yeah, I think that, the way that these guys came out was great. It was a really fun pattern. Check it out, especially coming with those other 2 bird options. If you're looking for some birds, it's a great pack to get and a great value for that. And I think that owl will be a nice option to have a smaller owl for myself, because right now I just do my my Snowy Owl by Love Me Dearly Crochet, and I do it in Bernat Blanket, but it does come out quite a bit bigger, and to have a smaller owl I think would be a very fun option at my booth. So started off with that pattern test of the no-sew birds. Yeah, had I mentioned it was no-sew, that was fantastic as well. Next up, I got to do a Pokemon pattern tester call. So this is for a pattern by Crochet by Smurf. I have done a couple of Pokemon before. My kids are into Pokemon. I just don't know a ton about it, and it felt like there were always so many characters. And honestly, a lot of the patterns I'd seen out there just seemed really big, and I didn't want to like devote the time to making a large item that I wasn't sure people would be interested in. Though I have, at this point, with all the markets that I've done, I've had a lot of people come in looking for Pokemon. And when I have had Pokemon like Psyduck, I did a Psyduck pattern, I think by Sphinx Crochet, and it sold immediately. So I knew this year I wanted to do some more Pokemon. I just needed to find the right pattern. When Crochet by Smurf shared her trainer buddy pack, I was like, that is exactly what I've been looking for. It's smaller, but it's not just like a lump, or I'm not big into like loveys that aren't, stuffed. I wanted something that had like a shape to it. So I jumped in for this pattern test, and I was assigned Eevee. I like Eevee. Of all the Pokemon that I know nothing about, I maybe know a little bit more about Eevee, I think because they're like closest resembling a fox, and my child loves foxes. More on that later. So I was excited to get Eevee, and I knew I wanted to do like a little fur ruffle. So this is Premier Parfait Plush, and this is, or Premier Parfait Chunky, sorry. And this is Little Bunny by Premier as well. And I think Eevee turned out adorable. These are 20 millimeter sinker eyes that I painted. I believe this is my Into the Woods line. And I love this little Eevee. It was a very quick pattern to make. It was exactly what I was looking for, again, for a Pokemon pattern. And so when you finished your pattern during this test, you could request another pattern to work on. So I requested Psyduck because, again, when I had Psyduck before, it sold really well. And I think it's silly. Like, I don't, again, know much about Pokemon, but this little headache platypus is adorable. And it has this cute little tail. So I cannot recommend this pattern pack enough. There's, I think, 5 or 6 total plushies that are, being released with this. And I think that all of them will be a hit. It's just like a compact little plush that perfectly embodies, I think, like a little Pokemon figure in plushie form. So I think that these will be a hit at my markets this year. I will be making little armies of Pokemon. Last but not least, for my pattern tests, I was fortunate to be selected for one of Stacy from Apple Tree Stacy Makes, or just Stacy Makes if you're following her on YouTube, which I highly recommend you are. She's actually one of the first YouTube crocheters that I ever found, stumbled upon, and started following, and she is a huge reason why I am here on YouTube today. So I was selected to participate in her pattern test for Eddie the Fox, or Wolf, you can do either. But at the time, I jumped in because it's a fox. And again, my child is obsessed with foxes. So I was selected to do the overall variation. And I think that Eddie is maybe Edie. And I made the little scarf modification. So the pattern pack is fantastic. It comes with options to do just a plain fox, overalls, or a dress. And then it also has details to do a bow, a scarf, or a bandana. And you can just kind of mix and match and play with that. And the way that the pattern came together was definitely different than I was familiar with. I had not made one of her fancy pants before just because she started releasing them in the midst of market season. And I was like, I don't have time to make any more new plushies. But I'd had my eye on them. And so again, when she released the Fox tester call, I was like jumping on it. But the way that she has you do The base is really interesting, and it's not a technique that I use regularly. I do not recommend doing it with a black yarn at night. Just saying. But it's great because it does give that really flat base so that your plushie could stand. And yeah, it was just a really unique pattern. And I think it will be a great staple for any collection, especially because she has so many options of critters that you can do. So in addition to the fox, she also released a stegosaurus and triceratops version of her Fancy Pants series, but she has so many already out. I love this fox, and when I showed it to my child, I kind of wish I had it on film because he was like, I love her, and just like held her and gave her a kiss. She's very cute. And so this was all Elise Voluto except for this scarf I did in the Premier Blooms chenille yarn. And I love how she turned out with her little headscarf. I feel like she was just working in the garden and, you know, had her little bow all tied back. Those were my pattern tests over the last couple of weeks. So I'm happy to finally share them. Make sure you go check out those 3 different pattern designers and support their work. I hope to be as productive this year in putting out crochet patterns, but I promise nothing because I thought I was going to do a handful of patterns last year and I did 1. All right, now let's get into some of the other activities that I was working on this week. In particular, I was getting ready for my Shopify launch. I am so thankful I had been nominated for a Yarny Award for my crochet tools that I make, in particular my Notion kit, which I introduced into my markets in the fall. And I shared about it in one of my fall YouTube videos, and I didn't even consider bringing it online to my shop, but the response from it was so positive and overwhelming of like, please post it online. And I just never had time to do it getting ready for the holidays. So, you know, again, I had so many markets in the fall. I was so busy. I wasn't able to put it on my online shop. And when I was nominated for a Yarny for that Crochet Notion kit, I was like flabbergasted. I was so honored. And it was the kick in the butt I needed to put it online because people had been messaging me, please, will you sell this online? And I was like, I'll get to it, I swear. So I did. It's now in my Shopify store. At the time of filming, I'm out of stock of the Yarned and Dangerous pouches. I'm just waiting for my new, for some of the materials I need to do that to be delivered. So I should have more backup by the end of this week. But I do have multiple Notion kits available now, and the designs are just continuing to roll out. But let's go through the process of making those Notion kits, and you can follow along and see kind of what goes into it and why I didn't have the stock of it available to post online while I was in the midst of market prep.
My dreams are hanging by a thread. They slip before they should. I watch the sky and wonder if it's waiting on me too. 'Cause my life keeps spinning on, no matter what I do. I'm putting it off, say there's still time. The universe keeps drawing the line. Keep me honest, hold me still. The quiet pulls me in again. I own the weight of the things that I've done. Keep me honest, hold me still. The quiet pulls me in again. I own the weight of the things that I've done. Find peace with who I've become.
In addition to all of the stuff I was doing for my Shopify launch, which was a bit more labor intensive than I realized it would be, I thought that I'd given myself plenty of time to transition over from Etsy. If you've been here a while, or if you just listen to other Etsy sellers, the fees that Etsy charges are astronomical. And personally, I find that they somehow sneak in a lot of ad promotion, even if you opt out of doing their ad programs. So if you say, like, do not charge me the $1 a day or whatever it is for ads, I was still getting charged for ads from time to time. I would be going in and checking my listings regularly, checking my shop settings, and I'd still find that like ad fees were in my monthly roundups. So I've just been really frustrated with that. And as a result of all of the fees that they charge, my prices on Etsy have had to be higher. So I wanted to move over to Shopify. I have talked to quite a few other creators and makers, and they have all recommended Shopify for their point of sale at markets, but also the ability to sell online and being somewhat straightforward for their online presence. I was able to figure out the shop setup, but I didn't love how it came out just using one of their free templates. And that, I think it was perfectly acceptable, but there were just some design features that I wasn't crazy about in the layout of my shop. So I was talking to Tabs from Safari Stitches. She had just done a revamp of her shop, and she actually had done the design that, like, I had seen this designer and saw this one layout and was like, oh, that's my favorite. So I was like, your site looks beautiful, and, you know, cheering her on. I was like, well, I don't want to do the exact same site layout as her, because obviously I don't want to do the same site layout as her. So I want hers to shine. And I just dug around and was like trying to find some various theme designers, and maybe one that could also install the theme for me, if that made it a little bit easier and gave me more time to focus on the things I wanted to do, which was crocheting. So I found Pastel Grid, and I loved her designs, and she was having a sale just at the time that I was looking. I'm sure she is doing regular promotion just based on what I would see on her social media and so on, but she was doing a sale, and the installation fee was very reasonable in my mind for what I was looking for, and to free up time for me to be able to both load items into my Shopify, not stress about that, as well as have time to work on my plushies themselves. So I worked with her to get my new design loaded up. I think it looks fantastic, and you know, you saw some of the footage of just the prep that went in to putting some of these items together. There's still a lot that needs to be loaded. I probably have at least 50 amigurumi stick designs that I have not posted yet, just that were in my previous shop. And I want to continue working on more eyes for eye drops. So I have a lot to do still, but it will be constantly evolving, and I appreciate your patience as I continue to put those items in my shop, as well as your support for those who have been shopping my store already. I feel like it has been a very successful launch, and I am so grateful. Make sure you check out the description of this video if you would like to shop whatsupcupcakecrafts.com, because I do have a code for the new shop launch, and I will have a special code listed as well for my YouTube followers. On that note, if you do not already follow my channel, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And let's get into the plushies that I made outside of my pattern test this past couple of weeks. These are just a handful. I've broken it up into a few videos just because there's been a lot I've been working on and haven't had time to film. All right, this first item, I knew I wanted to make. The reception from Ludo that I made in a recent video was so overwhelmingly positive, and I just knew I needed to make this other little guy. I was going to try and make my own pattern for it because I had not found one for a plushie version, but I did find a designer, Chi-Chi's Whimsical Crochet, their name alone, another whimsical crochet artist. I had to support them. So I made William the Worm from Labyrinth. Doesn't he look like a mad scientist? I love William. He is so cute. Also, did you know his name was William? If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you haven't seen the movie Labyrinth, go watch it. Pause this. Go watch Labyrinth with David Bowie. This little guy is in probably the first 30 minutes, and the pattern is called the Hello Worm because that's what he does. Again, you have to see the movie. But I showed my sister and she was like, oh, that's that guy. And she was like trying to name a name. I'm like, he doesn't have a name. He's the worm that goes, hello. And she's like, no, he has a name. And so I Googled it and his name is William. And they say it's never mentioned in the movie, but that was the name that they dubbed the worm. So this is William. And I love him so, so much. What I do not love is this part. You have to brush this out. So I used just like a worsted yarn, and brushing it with one of those like cat brushes is like up there with chalkboards and nails. And I just don't like writing on chalkboards in general. I was overjoyed when everyone moved to dry erase. Brushing this out is horrible. And he's probably supposed to have a little bit more on the base, and I just couldn't do it to myself. And to give you context, I made two. That's what he looks like before you brush him out. Like, he's ridiculous. So I have to brush this one out. I'm just putting it off because I hate that part of the process. But he is so stinking cute. So this is the Hello Worm by Chi-Chi's Whimsical Crochet. And it's the one that she does is in acrylic yarn, but I used Premier Parfait Chunky for this, and I used my Blood Moon eyes. It's from a previous drop. I will probably have eyes similar to this again because I've had a lot of people asking for more orange eyes, and they worked out perfectly for him. If you've seen the movie, you know what he looks like. So definitely check out Labyrinth, and cannot recommend this pattern enough. Just have some patience for yourself with this. Maybe I'll try some fur yarn next. I don't know. It really, like, this does give the look of the worm. But again, I'm dreading brushing this one out. Next up, you know I've been obsessed with frogs. I ended last year talking about all the frogs that I had been making, and I had been stockpiling some patterns, and I made the fruit frog in the strawberry variation. This is from Alpaca Patterns, and I just did these two little strawberry frogs. They're so cute. I applied to a strawberry festival. I don't know if I got in, but regardless, I'm going to have an army of frogs in every variation possible, and this is one of them. So I love this little fruit frog. It's so cute. I'll probably do some in like the pink strawberry color too, but I had to do like a vivid bright red. Then I needed to replenish one of the splooting animals that sold at one of my last holiday markets, and that was Una the unicorn. I had to do it because, one, I love unicorns, and also I love the Snuggle Beans crochet splooting patterns, but also Tabs from Safari Stitches and Teresa from Alligator Goods had influenced me and told me I had to buy the Premier tie-dye yarn, and they were right. They were 100% right. I thought I had purchased it, but I had gotten like the one that was variegated, I guess. I didn't realize there was also like a tie-dye version. It looks so perfect on Una. I am so happy with her. And I want to make her in every colorway because I do have the tie-dye yarn in every colorway because, again, they influenced me and I couldn't decide, and they were all recommending like different ones. I'm like, I just need to get 1 or 2 skeins of each of them. So I did. And now I want to make all the things with this tie-dye yarn, but I do need to make another Una. I want to make one in pink because I think Heather from Cottondale Crafts made a pink one. And it was so stinking cute. And I think when I did this pattern the first time, I did it in pink. So I'm just going to make so many little Unas. Look at that little tail booty shake. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. I love Snuggle Beans splooters. I think they're so much fun. If you haven't tried it and you like the look of a splooter, go try that. Another pattern I had sitting in my stockpile of patterns. I am a member of the LA Crochet Patreon. I love Morgan. She is amazing and she makes the most unique, silly designs. So I knew I wanted to make Chef Capybara. Chef Cappy. I love capybaras. I went to a capybara cafe when I was in Japan last summer, and I just like their whole mood is me. So I made her jumbo Chef Capybara. He is so chonky. I used 30mm eyes here, and you know, most often when you see capybaras, their eyes, like they just don't open very wide or they're napping. Like they're a mood. So I was going to just do the like closed eye, but I decided to do these. She has the details of it in her pattern. And I was like, yeah, I want open capybara eyes. And I had to Google what color their eyes are because, again, you usually just see them as slits and they're brown. So again, I used just some brown glitter eyes that I had made. I did the pie variation for Chef Copy, and I used Naughty Pony yarn. It was so fun to work with. The only thing that's not Naughty Pony is this. I used Premier Parfait Chunky just because I wanted a smaller yarn for the pie. But the browns and the apron and hat, that is all Naughty Pony yarn. So I love this pattern, and I was worried how big he was going to turn out, but I think he's like a great size. So he does take quite a bit of time to make because he is larger. So I'll probably have him listed for maybe 42. I don't know. What do you think? I love Chef Copy. All right, this next plushie that I made required that I have some felt little eyes for it. So I'm going to show you the process of cutting out those felt eyes with my Sizzix cutter that Robin from Knotting Hook Crochet inspired me to get. So the Sizzix cutter has just made cutting felt so easy. I previously would just do scissors and outlines and all that stuff, and I hated it. And I just would try to do patterns that either didn't require felt, or if it did require felt, I would try to do it some other way, like safety eyes or whatever it was. So I use a Sizzix cutter to cut out those eyes, and then I'm going to have someone else introduce this pattern for you, mainly because he insisted. Let's cut some felt for the eyes on the top of this chicken head. So they don't need to be huge. And I originally wasn't going to put them on, but then I remembered I had this amazing Sizzix cutter. It is linked in my description under my website, or within my website. So I have some of these circle cutters already picked out because I've used them before, and I don't need a huge piece, but essentially what you do is you take these trays that look like they have seen things, and you take your felt, and you don't need a huge piece, so this is actually just a leftover piece from before. And because I need 2 eyes, I will need to do 2 cuts of this, but I'm kind of leaning towards, I think I'm gonna go, you know what, I might do oval. So you get these cutters, I think there are Sizzix branded ones, but I didn't have much luck finding them. Robin from Knotting Hook Crochet is the person who influenced me into getting this. She shared her immaculately cut eyes, and I was like, how on earth are you doing that? Because I know I can do it on my silhouette, but it just doesn't seem like a great way to do it. I might need to go get my wire cutters. Okay, you can use scissors to separate them, but it's my craft room, so I only have like good scissors, and I don't want to use them to cut something like this. So I have wire cutters that I use with my 3D printer, and they're easily accessible. So basically, you just pick the size cut that you want, and you place it on your felt. Sandwich it in, and then, oh, you can suction this down or hold it, but suctioning it is probably the better way to do it. And then you just feed it through this machine. Yes, it makes some awful sounds, but Robin has told me that's normal. And then you just remove it. Okay, it did come out, so there's one, and let's do the other. They don't normally get stuck, but I'm guessing because this was a brand new sheet or brand new cutter, and probably pretty sharp. And sharp in the sense that, like, you're not going to cut yourself holding it, but I wouldn't want to step on it if it fell on the floor right side up. For this next item, I have a very special guest who insisted to be the one to present this, as he is a lover of all things
foxes.
So, why don't you tell me a little bit about this plushie, Graham? Who's it by?
Nooks Hooks.
And what are some of the features of this plushie from the Nooks Hooks pattern?
It is a fox with a chicken hoodie on, and you can take off the hood and then put it back on.
You have to hold it up a little higher.
And it's very cute.
Can you show us
like
taking
it a
off the
lot.
hood and putting it back on again?
Oh, okay. Yerg. It looks so cute.
And let's see the tail.
It has a big bushy tail. Yerg.
What's your favorite part of it?
Him either with his hoodie or without his hoodie, because he looks very cute.
And is it accurate to what a fox looks like? What color are fox's eyes normally?
Yellow.
Oh, I thought they were green.
They're yellow as a full-grown adult.
When they're babies?
When they're babies, I think it's close to green.
Oh, see? So it's kind of accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I hand painted those eyes.
I like him a lot.
Any final comments?
He's very cute.
All right. Thank you so much for joining today.
Hang on,
Even though you insisted that you join today.
Hang on, I need to put the hood back on.
All right, thank you.
He's so cute. Love you, Mom.
Love you.
Bye. See you when I get home.
Keeping on the topic of this plushie from Nooks Hooks, I just wanted to share some details about this because it is a mod of a mod. I used her fox base, obviously, but her fox base has these standing legs, and with the color changes on the sweater hoodie, I switched to the seated legs. So I just had to kind of adapt the pattern a little bit to account for, I think, allowing the edge of the sweater to be on the fox and then also factoring in the tail. Super easy to do. Just note that like the fox isn't written in the way to have the feet automatically changed into the sitting position and then also modded into the sweater mod of the base bear pattern. So beyond that, the rest of it came together perfectly. I did do those eyes and attach them as you saw in other little clips, and the hood looks great on it. So yeah, very, very pleased with this. I just did have to remind myself as I was changing out the color of the hood, since I was doing a white hood for a chicken, the body naturally, it stays in orange. So there is like a little bit of orange peeking through here because I think I realized too late that it did that. And I was like, it's fine. I'll just switch over to the white face. But very fun little mod, and maybe a little morbid having a fox dressed as a chicken, but I thought it was really cute. And as you saw, my youngest agreed. So that is the Nooks Hooks fox in a chicken hoodie as part of the fox pack and the bear in hoodie pack and the seated mod. Okay, that is my roundup for the last couple of weeks. I hope you enjoyed all of those makes, both the tester call items that I made, as well as just plushies that I had been meaning to replenish or, get off my to-do list. Let me know what was your favorite plushie of the bunch. Again, there were a whole bunch from, movie characters to silly frogs to Pokemons, decorative dressed up foxes. Let me know, and maybe drop a fox emoji in the comments below because I know that my youngest would love to see a whole comment section filled with foxes. It would bring him so much joy. Thank you for joining me today, and if you enjoyed this and would like to see more content like this, please hit that subscribe button and like. It really helps my channel out. It shows the algorithm that people are watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you next time. Bye.